Welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today I have a 2001 Nissan Silvia Spec S15. And I'm going to tell you why this is one of the best drift cars ever created. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. Now, guys, here we are with an ultra rare Nissan Silvia. Now, keep in mind, this car was never sold here in the US. So this is another car that was imported directly from Japan, and recently at that too. I mean, obviously being a right-hand drive vehicle will be the instant giveaway, but it's really special because this vehicle, this line of Silvia products, and especially this S15 designation, was super coveted throughout the 90s and the 2000s when this car was on sale. Now, the talk about the Silvia legacy and history, right? It is a cultural icon both in Japan and even here in the US. Now, it was only sold in Japan, Australia, New Zealand, never sold here. But even here, because of his drift status and making its way into various video games over the years, people know what this car is. I've already seen it as I've been driving around town. People know what this car is. So let's talk again a little bit about the history. So the Nissan Silvia, this legacy was in its 7th generation when this car was around. This particular generation actually went from 1999 to 2002. Again, this is a 2001, but it really predates to 1964. That's when the Silvia line of vehicles was introduced. So a really long history, all things considered, and even though it's not in the marketplace today, even in Japan. But this one here, as you guys might tell, has quite a few modifications, and is, as the owner of this car has told me, is essentially in drift spec right now. So the cool thing about it is we'll get to do this review today in its drift spec, and then we're actually going to come back at a later time when the car has been transformed more to a kind of street spec with a little bit more grip, because you're going to hear and see that during the drive today. But one other thing that we'll talk about is the paint on this car. It is in really good shape. In fact, the car overall is in extremely good shape. And I'll talk to you a little bit later about how many kilometers are on the vehicle, right? It's very low. This is a very well-kept vehicle. But the paint that we have here is called White Pearl. The color code is actually WK0, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a really pretty color, lots of pearl in it, and although there's an aftermarket kit on here, it all blends in and looks really good. Now, lastly, before we dive into the exterior, let's talk about pricing. So when this car was on sale in Japan back in 2001, it went for roughly, 2.8 to 3 million yen. And what that translates to, at least back then, was around 27,000 US dollars, maybe 30,000 depending, but that's what it cost back then. Getting one of these cars into the into the US today, it isn't super expensive. It doesn't have maybe the same price point that like an R34 or some of the other crazy Nissans have, but it's still not cheap. And to be able to get it done right and to be legal, that takes a lot of work. So with that, let's go ahead and do a full exterior walk around of this Nissan Silvia Spec S15. All right, guys, here we are with the exterior of this Nissan Silvia Spec S15. So, I mean, man, this car looks really good. Now, obviously, the stock Silvias I thought looked really good. That super long bonnet, that kind of short, rear end. It just had a really nice profile to it. But clearly, this one that we have here today, like I mentioned, it is highly modified, right? Has a lot of body work done to it. But again, like I have on so many of the videos I've done here, it has kind of a OEM plus feel. Now, again, like I said, this car was never sold here in the US, but even for, I think the Japanese audience that may, tune into this, they're going to look and say, man, that looks really clean, right? It looks really good. So let's go ahead and do this walk around. they're just gonna come to the front, man. It looks so aggressive. It looks so good. And that white pearl with those red seats is an awesome color combination. Looks good on any JDM car and spec. Man, this car has been getting lots of looks and stares. And again, I've been lucky enough to drive lots of cars, even here in Southern California, where this stuff is still rare but not impossible to see. This one gets the looks, guys. So let's go ahead and take a look at the hood here. So this is a crazy, venting that's going on here. I'm going to kind of swing around back so you can actually see it is functional. It has the openings there. The grill is actually body color match. Looks really nice. Still have, the windshield nozzle for the wipers, and that's, nicely integrated. Here, this is how you open up the hood, and later we'll go ahead and pop this open so you can see what lies beneath. But pretty cool. You can lock it on both sides, which is nice if you don't want anyone prying underneath, but again, also helps to give it this very aggressive look. You got those awesome headlights that come down to really what's a GP Sports bumper kit, and also a kind of extra canard that is integrated on top of the body kit. So it's almost like two body kits in one, which is what helps it look so aggressive and mean. And really the way that canard is kind of integrated into the front fascia, at first glance, you might think that's actually how it comes, or at least how that particular front fascia came. But you can see here, there's a nice huge opening there. It's totally functional. You can see the pipe for the front mount intercooler. You can see that special tow hook that's integrated there. It looks really good. In fact, I'll kind of zoom in a little bit so you can see it here. Get in, you can see that front mount intercooler, man. It's just there, exposed, and actually in pretty good shape. I mean, it's got some bugs, but for the most part, it's actually in pretty good shape. And then here you can see the other cutout as well. Excuse the sirens in the background if you're getting that. Luckily, they're not coming after me, although you'll see why during the drive that might still happen. So we're going to continue on regardless. Let's go ahead and take a look from the side. Look at this side profile, guys. This honestly might be my favorite view of the car, and because it just shows its length. It shows that short rear overhang, that super long front hood, just that coupe body style. I think they absolutely nailed the way it like kind of slopes back into the trunk lid there. Just an awesome design. And again, this car looks mean, right? Like I said, I'm getting all kinds of looks driving it around. So let's kind of shoot ahead to the wheel and tire package, which on this car is actually really important given its, like I mentioned, drift spec. So up front, the owner has some Bridgestone Potenza RE71R tires on here. So these are 17-inch wheels. It looks really good. You actually have a Nissan Z brake kit on this car. That apparently that was a common swap for these S chassis vehicles. But going back to the tires now, these front ones are a little bit skinny, right? Given that it is that kind of drift staggered setup. So these are 215 45 R17 tires, and the compound for these up front are actually soft. They're actually softer than what's in the rear, and you want that if you're going to have a crazy drift machine like this. So pretty cool wheel and tire setup there. You got the clear side marker, the nice side mirrors, and one of the things to point out is you wouldn't guess it because this isn't really a luxury vehicle, but the side mirrors are actually power folding. So that's a thing in Japan, right? It's not a premium luxury feature like you get here in the US. A lot of cars in Japan, even lower price vehicles, have power folding mirrors given how narrow the roads are. Here it also has the kind of accessory rain channel guide that looks really nice, really well integrated. Down below, you got an extension of that body kit. That GP Sports body kit extends all the way on the side. Looks really aggressive, but I mean, man, it just looks like it's integrated. It's really hard to tell that it's an add-on and not OEM. Come up, you can see that Spec R badge there. That's really nice because R, like you can imagine, is more for performance. There was a Spec S, which was kind of the lower entry level, but the Spec R really raised up the performance and the overall handling. Now, as we come to the rear, here we got a little bit, it's the same 17-inch size wheel, but a little bit wider wheel and tire in the back. So these are two 35 45 R17s. And I'll be honest, these are kind of like a no-name tire here in the rear, which kind of makes sense when you think about it, because these are what are going to get eaten up when you're sliding around and doing all that drifting. So the owner just kind of threw whatever tires on the back, because these things are going to get lit up. So here we go. Let's go ahead and take in the rear profile of the car. Looks really good, guys. Looks super clean. And part of it is because this has no rear wing. It was actually deleted. Now, again, the standard rear wing that came with the Silvia was kind of a lower profile anyway, so it wasn't some huge gaudy wing, but there's something to be said about just it looking so clean. The tail light design is cool. You got the Nissan badge there. The Silvia font there looks really nice. Yep, total JDM. And then, yeah, you got some cool stuff going on down below. A very, very aggressive exhaust setup, an exposed tow hook in the rear. And again, even just going back to that exhaust, it's really cool because it's a GP Sports exhaust, and you can see how it's like welded and essentially pointing down, but it sounds really good, guys. Overall, the car sounds amazing. Can't wait to have you guys hear it. So next, since we've covered everything on the exterior, let's go ahead and hop inside to talk about the interior. All right, guys, here we are inside this Nissan Silvia Spec S15, and this is a pretty special place to be. It's modified just like the exterior, but just like the exterior, it's modified in a super tasteful way, right? Like it's a drift car. It's highly modified, but it's just done in a really, really clean OEM plus way. So first and foremost, let's just talk about the design of the Silvia. Again, since this car was never sold in the States, it's a very clean design, very simple. They went with like this kind of circular design for all the HVAC vents, almost reminiscent of like kind of like a modern Nissan Z car, I feel like. So, kind of that typical clean Nissan design for the dash. But right here, let's go ahead and talk about it. So this car clearly has an aftermarket steering wheel, right? It's an ultra small, diameter to it. It is leather wrapped. It does have a nice little yellow center stripe up here. No airbag, pretty raw. Um, Really, it's just for drifting. I mean, that's what this car is set up for, like I said, and it has that kind of deep dish design and such a small diameter. And part of the reason why it's like recessed like this is the idea is that you want to really be able to sit up close as you're drifting, and you want to have really kind of careful and small inputs, as you're kind of helping to rotate the car around. So it's literally has like function in its design, which I really, really like. But yeah, in front of me, man, God, these are some of the best looking gauges. They're so good. And again, they're not digital, they're not all fancy, customizable gauge clusters like we have today. It's just a very, very clean, simple design. And it's in this awesome, like satin silver finish for the background, black font for the numbers, really easy to, see red line. Again, this is just a really nicely designed gauge cluster. Um, Obviously, there's some modifications we'll talk about here in a second. There's obviously things like some Grady boost controllers over here. There's a big K's boost gauge over here on the A pillar. Um, Outside of that, if you go down to the center stack, you got an Eclipse. Anybody remember Eclipse? You got a double din Eclipse radio. It is in Japanese. Not only the buttons, but the menus, which luckily I can read Japanese, but again, it's you don't really pay much attention to it, right? It's old, the navigation's old, so it's just there. Down below that, you've got a pretty clean design for the climate control. The buttons all very easy to read. No problems using that. Obviously got a cigarette lighter, rear defroster, hazard lights. Coming back, we'll talk about how this behaves during the drive, but of course, it's a 6-speed manual transmission. Really like the shift knob that the owner has here. It's an HKS shift knob. Very cool that it also has the readout for the shift pattern down below here. This side brake is literally a drift side brake. So you pull up on it without having to like push in on this, like this would be where the button is, this little blue knob, if you guys can see it. But instead of you having to like push in and then like pull up. You literally just pull up to activate the side brake. And that the idea is that as you're drifting, you ain't got time to like fuddle with the button or push it in or make sure it's engaged. You're just pulling up and literally using that to aid you oversteer and drift around the corner. So super cool that that's in here. Of course, you got an ashtray, really small cup holder, and a little center armrest with some area underneath, but not much space there. Of course, a traditional glove box. Materials, though, and like I said, this overall condition of the car is really good. Materials over here are kind of what you'd expect for the price point. But again, like I said, you do get premium features like the power folding mirrors, which is nice. But come on, how can we ignore the seats, which are clearly not stock, right? These are Brid seats. If you didn't know that's how it's pronounced, it actually is a Japanese brand. Some people might call it Bride. It's Brido. And yeah, these are awesome seats. The red, like I said, goes fantastic with that white pearl paint outside. But one of the things, and hopefully you can tell from the video here, is that the driver's side seat is not the same. The driver's side seat actually has a lot more bolstering, even down low on the sides and in the shoulders. So while it looks like the seats are symmetrical and the same, they're not. This side is definitely a lot more aggressive because as you're drifting around, you just want that additional support. So obviously there's some ultra tiny seats back there. uh I'm not sure I'm even going to be able to fit back there. I'll show you what it looks like just so you get an idea. But the one last thing that I'll talk about here, because like I said, this car is about as ultra JDM as you can get. You can see there's stickers here on the side dash that say GP Sports, and then you'll see there's some the Nissan, or you'll see the Silvia logo. That's really nice. That's actually a chrome emblem that came with the car. But next to that, you'll see some Japanese kanji written there, and it says mo jitsuryoku. And what that means is luck and skill, which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I think you need both when driving this car and drifting this car. So I think that's a really cool touch point. But other than that, I think we've covered everything on the interior. So next, let's go ahead and hop out to check out the cargo area. All right, guys, here we are with the Nissan Silvia Spec cargo space. Now, I've already got the trunk pop. There's a little lever there by the driver's seat. You also, of course, have a traditional keyhole here that you could open it up. But once you lift it up, I mean, given that this is a sports coupe, I say that there's decent space back here. You could probably fit one like large suitcase today, maybe two smaller, medium-sized suitcases in here. I was not actually able to get the exact cargo space in cubic feet, but just my guess is this is roughly 7 to 8 cubic feet of space, which again isn't a lot, but given that it is a very small sports car, right? I mean, there's almost no back seat. It's kind of a 2+1 if you're lucky. But all of that considered, you do have at least space to throw things back here, and you could do small grocery runs and things like that. So other than that, materials are pretty good. There is what you can see. It looks like a space to kind of pass things through, but again, it's closed off. Really nothing below the carpet, but overall it's in pretty good shape. Like I said, this car is very low mileage and has been kept really in good condition. So with that, next, let's go ahead and talk about this powertrain. All right, here we are with the powertrain of this Nissan Silvia Spec S15. Now, this is highly modified, and I'm just gonna come out saying I actually don't know what the final output numbers are, the final horsepower and torque numbers. It was never really dyno tuned as far as my understanding, right? But let's talk about the engine in its stock form, what it came with, and then I'll guess what this thing makes. So you can see really clean engine bay, even with the modifications. Again, looks very OEM plus, very well done. This was a pretty robust engine. In fact, it was legendary in the fact that how much you could tune it, how much power you could extract out of it. And again, because of that, the tuning aftermarket in Japan went crazy with the Silvias. So this was the SR20 DET engine. Now, it was a 2-liter inline 4 turbocharged engine. And from the factory, it was around 250 horsepower for the time. But like I said, this one here has a lot more than that. It's made it to a 6-speed transmission for the Spec R. Some of the lower trims, I believe, had a different transmission. But not only that, it's rear-wheel drive. It's a super lightweight chassis. Again, this thing was meant to drift. And then if you tuned it like the way this car is, it became a complete drifting monster, right? But look at this turbo, right? It is absolutely huge. So that's one of the big modifications here, this huge Greddy turbo kit on here. I mean, it is a monster. You can see the intake that shoots off of it is a super huge piece as well, which also is going to help with that induction noise and that blow-off noise that you're going to hear in the drive review in just a second. But other than that, like I said, I don't actually know the number, but given that I've had a few other crazy high horsepower Nissan cars on the channel, and I've driven those and now driven this, I'm going to say this thing easily 500-600 horsepower, somewhere in that range. It's a beast, but there's no better way than to prove that out than to get behind the wheel. So next, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive. All right, guys, here we are inside this Nissan Silvia S15, and we're gonna go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So go ahead, grab the mechanical key, ignition, clutch in. All right, start it up. It's a little hot, so I'm gonna have the AC on, but man, this is gonna be an interesting drive. Grab the seat belt here. As I talked about on the exterior with the difference in tire compound and the whole setup of this car, it truly is something unique. Essentially, it's a drift car, but I'm gonna try not to go drifting. So here we go, setting off. The one thing I'll say about this car is it has a very interesting engagement on the clutch. I mean, the owner told me that pretty much the clutch is meant to be beat on, given that it is a drift car, and you just kind of have to feather the throttle to get out of first gear. But this car, as you can hear, is loud, and it's only going to get louder. So if you don't hear me throughout this whole video, it doesn't really matter. Actually, probably better, because the car definitely sounds better than I do. So we're going to do my little normal route here, but I have a feeling it's going to be a much different driving experience because the car sounds like this. I mean, I didn't floor it, I just got into it, but heel and toe was actually pretty easy. That's good, but oh my god. I'm just gonna be laughing a lot in this video, guys. I mean, what am I supposed to do? But this car is crazy, okay? It's absolutely nuts. And if you didn't even get a little bit of that in the audio, it has, you know, that amazing, like, JDM, like, you know, that blow-off valve whistle. And I'm gonna do it one time. I know there's some chick on Instagram that does it way better than me, but the, you know, that sound is here, right? And this is there's no better example. So once we get a little bit more into the drive, you're gonna hear it. But you know, there's no drive modes to talk about in this car. It is what it is. Again, that's kind of part of the older 90s, 2000 cars. It's they're still somewhat analog in that sense, and how you drive them is how you is how they behave. Now, obviously, you can even tell from the video that the car has kind of this like crazy idle, but don't worry, it's not gonna stall out or engine is gonna die. I was told that's how it's programmed. You know, I'm getting some readouts here on the Greddy boost controller and stuff, so everything looks good. But that's just kind of how this car is, and it doesn't drive like anything else I've driven before, nor like any of the other Nissans, which I've had a few on the channel. Again, like I said, I don't know what's going on where I've got all these high-powered, crazy Nissans on Drive Culture lately, but I'm definitely not complaining and happy to do more. So I'm gonna just jump into it before I take off here and say, let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Should I be driving more crazy JDM cars, more right-hand drive cars, and more crazy turbocharged cars like this, like the GTRs I brought to the channel recently, like that crazy 300ZX twin turbo? So again, if you haven't watched any of those videos, definitely go through the video, scroll back, and watch those as well, because all of those in their own unique way were really special. But this, like I said, inherently just feels different than all of them, and again, different than anything I've ever driven. So I think we're finally getting the light here. Got to give it a little bit of gas, light up the clutch. That was a pretty smooth engagement there. gotta say goodbye to reality because it just warps speeds, man. It takes off. Oh my God, I'm almost speechless, right? So here we go, though. You know, drift car. It's got crazy turning. The handling is just go-kart like, and the fact that you've got this ridiculous, like, deep steering wheel, the super small diameter. You know, it's like this so that you can drift. So I'm gonna go over this first train track in this car. It was bad. I expect it to be bad. It's not supposed to be good in this car, right? It is what it is, but I mean, you can just see, like, just very small inputs have crazy body motion in this car. And again, part of it is you don't want a lot of inputs. So when you're drifting, you can just put a little bit and really get the car to rotate, which again is not my intent during this video at any point. So here we go, another speed bump. This one's worse. And I mean, it was bumpy, but actually it could have been a lot worse given how low to the ground this car is. I also have to be careful because the front lip is really low on this car as well. So here we go, we're going to continue on. I'm going to get into it just a little bit here. You ready? It is nuts. Hopefully this is all coming through on video, because like I literally had to, like, you know, grab the steering wheel because it was like gonna, you know, be yanked out of my hand. I mean, this thing has so much torque. It wants to try to slide around. I'm not trying to get it to slide around. So you gotta be careful driving this thing, because I can already feel that it is trying to oversteer at pretty much every time I get into the throttle. So driving around town though, it's pretty crazy. Like, there's really good visibility at, you know, sides, front and rear. You know, this car does have the rear wing delete, so you know there's no spoiler in the back. Although, to be fair, the stock spoiler on a Silvia was rather small anyway. But it's nice, actually, to be fair, not having it. You got great visibility out the rear, but man, these bridge seats are incredible. And like I kind of pointed out in the interior, the driver's side seat actually has even more bolstering than the passenger side seat. So that's a kind of a cool note, and it shows that this car was really all about this driver being absolutely glued to the chassis, because you're going to be sliding around. Like I said, it's literally this, you know, drift special right here. So here we go. I'm going to get another chance so you can hear this turbo blow off valve. So there it is. That's pretty good, right? And so, oh, there it is. Oh, guys, it's so good. it's like the, you know, initial D, you know, anime. It really is. You know, it looks and feels like it. It sounds like it too. Oh man, it's really good. I would get in trouble in this car. I don't think I'd have my license very long. It would be a very bad situation. So I'm kind of glad I'm only driving this for today, even for this short, very drive part of the video, because this car just invites trouble. I mean, it's not something you should be driving on the street, because I mean, it eggs you on, right? And you can feel it, and the boost just builds, and then you get the handling, and you're like, oh, let me push it a little bit. So even that, I mean, it just handles so weird. The good thing are the brakes. Wow, you know, the brakes are good, but inherently the tires, right? Like I was mentioning during the exterior walk around, the tires, you know, the ones up front are like a softer tire compound than the ones in the rear. And like the ones up front are like really nice. They're like these nice Bridgestone tires. The one in the rear are kind of like no-name tires, because the idea is they're gonna get shredded, right? They're gonna get destroyed as you're drifting this car around. But you know, inherently, again, when you're not drifting, you're driving around on the streets, the car does kind of slides forward a little bit because of the, you know, the compound of the tires. So again, I've been trying to enjoy myself, but trying to be very careful, because if driven the wrong way or driven overly aggressive, you could get really sideways in this car or do a lot of sliding under heavy braking. So I'm trying to behave myself. Here we go. Just kind of trying to get a smooth start, getting better at it. Kind of get around here, get into it just a little bit one more time. I mean, that sounds so good. And then just literally sucks you into the seat. I mean, it is insane. And it sounds so good. Now, again, the drive is a little bit short today in our normal route. But here's the good news, is the owner of this car, one second, hold on, here we go. Listen to that. Oh man, it's so good. It is so good. Yeah, it just literally like slides around the turns. It's so good. It is so good. So the owner, what I was trying to say is the owner has said that, you know, gonna be able to get this car again because they're gonna change it from this kind of crazy drift spec that they got it straight from Japan and go to more of a street setup with real grip. So I'm definitely gonna bring this car back to the channel after those modifications take place. So let me know if you want to see more content like that. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this drive review. All right, guys, that's a wrap. What did you think of this 2001 Nissan Silvia Spec Car S15? Is this one of the best drift cars ever created? Is it one of the best JDM cars ever created? Let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. As I mentioned throughout the video, for whatever reason, I've been bringing a lot of crazy high performance JDM spec Nissans to the channel. So if you haven't watched those videos, things like the Nissan Skyline GT R33, R34, and there's even a crazy US spec 300 ZX twin turbo. All those Nissan videos are on the channel, so definitely be sure to like, watch, and come back for more. But if you've joined me before, thank you so much. But if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. Thanks, and we'll see you at the next episode.